Overwatch have probably more skilled players overall, but they lack team play because in this lineup they are playing right now, they haven't been playing together for that long. Like, for example, Nevix is playing like for the first time with them now. Of course, Nevix is a sick player, but they lack team play overall, I would say, compared to Northern Gaming Blue.
We'll see how they do. And yeah, Zebosai is someone that we've kind of mentioned can really play well, but I do believe his McCree, he hasn't really had such great games so far at this tournament. Even your Mercy player, Vainless, ended up taking out in a one-on-one, so maybe his confidence a bit not, but Soon's been playing fantastic on the sniper, and that's what we're seeing pick up. And Shades is actually going to go for a defensive Genji here on the first point of defense, and Leando, which was actually the player that I forgot when I was going around him, sat next to Nutty B, has been playing a good sniper as well. So we'll see how they engage and handle this. But what do you like about the lineups, Resta?
What I like about the lineup is probably Shades on Genji. Like, it's a good way to deal with an offensive Widowmaker, or if they have one. But it's also like good to just go for the backline and cause chaos there. What I find somewhat unusual is the Junkrat on attack. Obviously, it can work out, but it's not the most usual pick in the current meta, I would say.
All right, so, yeah, I mean, I think we had a crash problem as well there. They actually sat there for a while and waiting on the admins, I think, a little bit there for a few moments. So that's fine. We're going to take some time. Apparently, they've got a bit of lag on TeamSpeak, 110 milliseconds crew. That's actually not that much, bro. That's like a standard ping in Australia, so I don't really know what the problem is, but...
Only 100 in Australia, you probably have like 1,000.
No, even in Australia, within their own infrastructure, internet is shit. Yeah. Like, it's actually awful. You probably have like one of the worst.
Yeah, no, I mean that's our internal ping. That's not the ping from here to Australia. That's what we get at home.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's next level stuff. I mean, to be fair, it's more like 70, right? But it's pretty shocking either way around.
So you're obviously German, Resta.
Yeah, I'm German.
Beautiful German accent.
Yeah, we have really good internet forehead.
Yeah.
Rub it in.
What did you play before you played Overwatch? Did you have any more experience in maybe FPSs or competitive games?
Well, not exactly in FPS. I played World of Tanks on a really high level. I was in the best European team called Castle Crew.
That's really good. And, thanks, mate.
And
I told him about this. I think you should already know, but that's what you've done to this man as well. Well, at least he didn't call it an FPS though, James. Know that. He said it's not actually an FPS.
What tank did you play?
I played a lot of
Tell me about your
251.
tanks.
I played T54.
Yeah?
I was sick sniper in that game.
Yeah.
Technically, it isn't FPS though, right? You can go first person.
Yeah,
like you can zoom in.
Technically, it's an FPS, right? That's right.
Yeah.
So we both
German playing tank games.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Getting into that King Tiger makes me feel good.
Makes my granddad proud. Brings back some memories.
Yeah, totally.
All right, cool. But you like Overwatch a lot, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely like Overwatch a lot. Like, I played it the first time on European Road to BlizzCon, and I immediately loved it, and I decided I want to like swap games, quit from World of Tanks, and start with Overwatch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, remember at the time, I was casting a fair bit of World of Tanks, and everyone was like, oh, Kazna's playing, where's Ruster though? I don't know where he is. I asked the guys, he's like, oh yeah, Ruster just doesn't seem to be really interested in the game anymore. And then obviously we talked, and you'd already changed your Twitter handle to Ruster Watch, and you're already getting involved in it before the game even came out. So
you were involved in World of Tanks.
I used to cast the Wargaming.net League. I was probably one of the main casters in the world for World of Tanks.
You used to?
Whoa.
I don't do it anymore. Yeah, that's secret's out. Yeah,
oh.
that was my last season just now. So
all right,
the World Finals was it. But anyway, we're in.
Cool.
Now, of course, to this one. Hopefully, no problems here, gentlemen.
Did you do LANs and stuff then?
Yeah, we had LANs in World of Tanks.
Yeah, I know, but you know, I just wondered like.
I was in the grand finals, man.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool now.
Yeah.
Before I was a bit like, meh, but grand finals. And you got some LAN experience then, so you don't get nervous when you're here playing?
I have to admit, I got pretty nervous, especially when the score was 2-2. I gotta say, I was really nervous then. Like,
Yeah, some of the players here have definitely suffered a little bit from nerves. I would say Zebosai, actually, from these two teams is the one
Yeah, I
that
mean,
feels...
if you fail to 1v1 a Mercy, it has to be...
Yeah, and if it was on Play of the Game.
Yeah.
It's really unlucky, that.
But we'll see. But Shade's definitely a player not suffering from any nerves so far. He's only been getting better and better throughout the tournament, so we'll see how he does. And we expect the same lineup on defense, as that's what they wanted. And on the offense, we have to see what they're going to go for. And it does seem like they want to stay with the offensive Junkrat.
To be honest, like, Kratos is the support player. There's no way he's going to play Junkrat. Or I am completely wrong. They don't go for any support.
Well, they don't have a healer at the moment, so yeah, he's probably going to change.
Yeah.
Just messing around. But it was Crew that was on the Junkrat last time.
Yeah.
And he's going to go with the Pharah. And there's your Lucio.
That looks like a good lineup. Yeah, they have Shades who can basically deal with Soon, the Widowmaker. Like, Soon did some really sick shots earlier, so...
Yeah, he was very, very sharp. Well,
yeah, you kind of have to deal with Soon.
It's kind of hard to deal with him, though, if he's babysat by the Mercy for the majority of the game, even if you're going in just as a single Genji.
Yeah, of course, if you're a smart Widowmaker, it's really hard to go for you, because you can use your grapple to just escape.
Oh, and Linando's actually going to pick up Soon and also get a kill onto Crew, so already the defense now starting to break the offense's first push. Shades picks up a kill as well, followed by Nutty B, and it looks like Skipjack finally going to fall. So first defense successful. They don't really get anything off that as much as just the ultimate charge. Leandro is up to 77%, and that's going to be a little bit scary for Soon if he is able to pop his ulti, and it might put things a little bit more in his favor. But first defense successful here.
You can see that Northern Gaming Blue has a Lucio and a Mercy instead of a Symmetra, so they have that speed to actually attack them when they come through the choke.
Well, Zebosai is going to press forward now as well. We do have still two Reinhardts in play with reasonably healthy shields and 2 breaks at first. Nice little flash to dodge it, but Zebosai is going to get put up against the wall. Nutty B finds him there as well, and it's the defensive team pulling the trigger first. But will they have the last shot? Nutty B getting himself 3 there, but the res comes in.
Good res, but I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. It seems like still defense have a huge momentum. No one was really dropping low on health by the time the res came in. So once again, offensive team going to be pushed back into the spawn. It's only Crew that I believe that was behind them. He's trying to get some damage out now and does actually get a kill onto the enemy Mercy of Zafi. But again, it looks like the defensive team are holding. So this is really got to be a bit of a knock to Graviton Surge. They seem like they are a very strong team coming into this, but so far they've been shut down twice, and this is a point that you normally are able to contest in terms of offense and get a good amount of kind of tags when it comes to collecting the point. You can tag it 3 times.
They show really good counter aggression. Like, they don't wait at all for Graviton Surge to come on the point. They just use the speed boost of the Lucio to counter push them and wipe them every single time so far. That's pretty impressive, actually.
And that's a lot what actually Melty used to do on defense here. Whenever they saw a mistake, they would actually just speed boost into you. And it's making it really difficult for Soon to play on the Widow. He's actually got picked up a few times. He hasn't contributed too much with the aggression of the defensive team.
Barrage coming into the back there. You can see that the Earth Shatter comes in, but Nutty B actually not able to clean anyone up on the charge through. Zaf as well, trying to step back here and keep Mint healthy. I think he's taking a bit of pressure from Skipjack, and there is the other Earth Shatter coming down. Nutty B's put on his rear end as well, but there's not enough follow-up damage as well, and Soon's going to be pressured very, very heavily by this Genji as well. Easy enough for Shades to clean him up.
Shades is having a really good game, and it's... Even though Crew's playing his Pharah suffers really, really badly when it comes to actually just landing kills onto the Genji, because you've got double jump, so chances are you're not going to get hit by much of your splash damage. So this Pharah hasn't really worked out, and I maybe switching Crew onto something else could be a good decision, but we'll see.
Zebosai only gets the 1 there as well. Yura's just going to roll straight on through here. Mind you, this point still hasn't been taken yet. The red's going to come in for the attacking side. They realise they don't have a lot of time left. Sound Barrier also to follow that up should keep them pretty vital on this point, and Shades and Min are going to struggle to really make the dent. Nutty B also sort of out of position here a little bit as he's going to miss yet another charge, and still Shades is staying alive, but eventually has to fall, and that will finally be their first point taken there as well by Graviton Surge, but they definitely took their sweet time about it.
Yeah, they can feel good about the time they defended on the first point. Like, it was something roughly 3.5 minutes. That's pretty good time.
And Soon actually switched on to the Winston to make that happen. He felt that his Widow wasn't really doing much, and just because of how aggressive Northern Gaming Blue were on the defense. So onto the Winston, and he's going to stay on the Winston. Crew, I actually think Pharah works really well in this kind of the mid stage of the map. Do you like Pharah?
I'm not sure because Lidano's on Widow, and playing a Pharah against a Widow is pretty hard. But they have a Winston, soon swap to Winston for that reason, I guess, to deal with the Widow. So it might work out.
We'll see soon now over the payload as well, as it's made some decent progress up the road, but this is about when we're going to see again Graviton Surge pull the trigger, and you can see Soon trying to interrupt that ulti. He does actually get Yurin now straight into the back line. A knock up on Ladano is going to force him up onto the ledge as well, and he's still going to try and take shots, but has to give a bit of respect to the Winston that's flying towards him, even if he's not in Primal Rage form anymore, and eventually get the kill there as well. There's a lot of them coming up for Graviton Surge here. Good fight will allow them to push this payload up a bit further.
Yep, Crew's got ulti as well as Skipjack now for Graviton Surge, and even Zebasai is able to get his ulti up on the McCree. So slightly in their advantage, but they've still got to watch out for Mint and Zafi that have their mass res and also sound barrier. So we'll see what they can do.
They even tried to contest the points still. I'm not sure if that will work out for them. They dropped the sound barrier. So far it seems pretty even. Could go either way. Zebasai will probably use High Noon unless he falls back.
Looks like he doesn't need to at the moment, but still having a hard time handling Shades on his Genji until he finally gets the kill. There is a res, and it is going to be thrown out just before he dies. Brings up at least, I think, the majority, actually all of his team are now there. And we'll see if they actually, is this going to be a contest that they can hold.
Right, Shades is still causing problems. The second coming of him, able to keep him up and keep harassing. But, during that fight, actually, the payload actually slipped over the checkpoint. The players weren't actually standing on and contesting it. They respawned, I guess, away from it when they got rezzed here. So that still lets Graviton Surge sneak through the door. And now they can actually make some serious progress. Pretty much around this L-bend is where they're going to get before we see a full Northern Gaming Blue lineup ready to defend this at all.
Another Gaming Blue basically has to regroup now, but this High Noon wrecked them. Like, they might lose this from now on. They had to regroup and spawn instead of, walking out and getting killed. Like, that's what you have to do if the enemy team has momentum. Just regroup and spawn and walk out together.
Rez comes in for the attacking side as well. Somehow Nutty B was away from where the payload should be, behind enemy lines, trying to make something happen, but he couldn't contest it. So that payload just rolled straight on through nonchalantly here, and I doubt we're going to see any real contest as well. It should go through, and Graviton Surge really sneaked through in those last moments. Rust to that Deadeye, like you said, getting not only the Pharah, but also the Mercy there. Oh, not good.
Yeah, the switch to the Pharaoh is pretty weird, actually, because you're in a very small room, close combat, so if you're up against even the McCree in that situation, it can be very dangerous. Of course, the Deadeye, High Noon was going to be the difference maker, but a weird switch. But really, I would say that Zebasai played an absolutely fantastic game going into the later stages. We talked about him earlier being a little bit nervous, but actually his McCree going into just the final stages of that map was such a big difference maker. And I do really like the fact that as soon as he changed to the Winston, they got the first point, and he actually stayed on Winston, and he made it very difficult for Lidando playing the defending Widowmaker to actually have a chance. And he even had his ultimate for the whole final fight available to him, and he didn't feel like he even needed to use it to win. So really good Winston pickup to finish off the map there.
And pretty easily rolling straight on through there as well. So I didn't quite catch the time. We'll find it out in just a second. But after that first point, quite a brawl we saw on that one there as well. Graviton Surge, it's actually not the first time this weekend that they've struggled to get that first point, and then have actually found success quite rapidly over the next couple as well. So we'll see what the picks are going to be here. I mean, the time was 6 minutes 14. It's a respectable time, I think, on King's
It's still quite fast just because of how the final room went down.
Yeah.
I mean, as Resta rightfully said, they probably wanted to gather up, but I don't think they also knew that there was going to be a High Noon available, and Shades was already in the air. So that was that kill alone was just a big difference maker.
What you have to do at this point, though, is you shouldn't even walk out of spawn. You should just stay in spawn, wait until you respawn, and then walk out together as 6. Otherwise, something like this might happen. So that was kind of then a mistake. They didn't really group, and they lost the second point and third point in less than 3 minutes.
All right, then, Resta. So we've got our defensive lineup. Anything that you like about it? It seems pretty standard, but we do have Soon playing the Widow on defense, and not a lot of people actually expect to see a Widow on defense here, but we've seen it more and more. I think actually team that we just saw playing earlier, Rogue Esports, were quite surprised that they ended up seeing Flippy on a sniper on the Widowmaker on defense on first point. But what do you make of the lineups?
I would say that the attacking lineup is more interesting. Like they have a weird tactic where they have only one support, Northern Gaming Blue that is. They have one support, 2 soldiers, and I think I know what the soldiers are gonna do. They will most likely take the high ground behind them and flank around, and then start spamming them from the high ground into their backs. which was really effective.
Well, I mean, Rogue Esports tried to do that, but they were met by Flippy's Widowmaker and also a Junkrat that actually, made it quite a big problem. So we'll see if they're able to take the high ground and get away. But I believe that Melty really just played that fantastically. So it might work out well for him. We'll see what happens soon. Already going to spot one of the soldiers.
Yeah, he tagged them both on the way through, I might have pointed out. Zaf went down to 5, Ladano went down to about 40, so they both of them got hit trying to get in position in the first place, but they're not dead and they're still alive and they're still threatening Soon, who really just has to now take to the grounds, warn his team about what's sort of coming up above and just try and prepare them now to be fighting on 2 fronts.
Yeah, and it looks like Crew's going to be responsible for having to spam up there to stop them, because they've created now essentially, an amazing crossfire. It's very difficult for Skipjack not to get hit. You can actually see he's having to kind of, figure out where the hell they're firing from. But now they drop onto the point. Crew gets a kill, and then it's going to be equalized as Soon goes down finally to McCree.
Zaf also has fallen, so that's one less Soldier 76 above, but there was a McCree and a 76 still up there at the time, and the res actually coming in there as well. Graviton Surge being used inside the room. From what I can see, Skipjack, Kratos, and I think it was also the Symmetra being caught up there. Nevix going down. Now Crew
That was
Skipjack.
unlucky for the side to step into the trap there. He might have actually survived that. But I think they got the point anyway.
Yeah, the Soldier duo.
Nevix didn't manage to get down the TP. He swapped from Symmetra to Luciano. Like, that's the risk when you have a Symmetra in your lineup, that you can't hold the point long enough to get your TP down.
But you called it, Ruster. They went round the back. They did their job. They removed the Widowmaker and managed to stay alive, both the soldiers, to the end of the actual capture on that point. No problem. So let's see what they switch off to. And it's going to be now onto a Mercy and a double McCree. So we're going to lose the soldiers and we're going to bring those McCrees in for some close range damage.
Crew also picking up that Zaya, obviously having used that earlier on there on the Graviton Surge. I'll have that used against them, should I say. It was Shades that used it. So we see Crew make the change here now. And it's a real aggressive push. Look how far forward the Northern Gaming Blue guys are coming. But double Earth Shatter coming down as well. I think the latter was from Northern Gaming Blue, but it still doesn't allow them to really get their upper hand in that fight. Soon, Crew and Zebasai, of course, who's continuing to be a consistent performer here, gets himself 2 kills.
Yeah, really nice. And we do have res now available on the defensive Mercy, so that's going to be huge, depending on if they get to, well, potentially huge if they get to use it well on the defense. And there's going to be no res on Northern Gaming's Mercy, so but they're still at 54%, so they can build it. And they do have Lucio ult, so they do have some sustain, so they can still play this quite aggressively. But still, they've got to move the payload. It's like if you win a fight here, the chances are, with the payload being so far away, the enemy team will actually be back into position to defend. But it looks like the enemy, the defending team, want to put challenge.
And Zebasai again gets straight into the action. Crew as well, this Zaya switch seems to be working out for the guy fairly well. Pretty much going to have his ultimate ready and just smash Shades there with that one. So this might be the answer to this res here, depending on how the defenders want to play. We actually see that Soon actually getting up in this fairly aggressive spot there, just trying to stop any reinforcements from coming through, but he's forced away by a fire strike immediately.
So they use the Mercy res on Graviton Surge just to res like 1 to 2 people there, just to make sure they hold this position, this choke point. And it's working out for him so far. And Crew sends in his ulti, and he's going to hold him in place, but actually it hasn't really done that much.
Response here actually coming out even after that first engagement, and like I said, well, that's a nice little pick there towards Zebasai as well. But we actually saw Yora come forward and get a couple of kills even after the Graviton Surge, so perhaps it was a little bit out of position or placed too far away for most of Northern Gaming Blue to actually jump on and back it up with damage. Oh, sorry, for Graviton Surge to back up with damage. So,
and they also had Shades in the Graviton Surge. He was actually reflecting, so a lot of the damage, I believe he was almost at the front of the Graviton Surge.
It did take down some of the players, but they had res up, and I think they rest all of the people that died from that Graviton Surge.
Deadeye coming out now as well. See if that connects. I think Yora's already used that one up there as well. Ladano has his available as well. That was the charge. I'll have to follow that action there as well. Skipjack coming in and gets himself 2. He had sound barrier on him now, which is mostly decayed or been removed here by Nutty B, but the res comes in actually just for Skipjack and maybe one other player, and there's Soon as well. He finally chimes in from the periphery and gets that pick on towards Nutty B, and we can see constantly Graviton Surge are throwing out some very nice defensive plays, and they are throwing a spanner in the works here for Northern Gaming Blue, who know that they're on a timer here.
Yeah, they got about 1 minute 45 left to complete the map.
They have around 1 push left, actually. If they don't win the next push, I think it's, like, impossible.
Yeah, unfortunately, not being able to get that checkpoint as well has sent them all the way back, so they've got a long run to make this happen.
The They're definitely going to run it. There's no doubt about it. The speed boost coming in as well. They know they need to engage. They need to get to grips. But Skipjack avoided that first flashbang coming over the top. Beautiful Earthshatter coming in there as well. But Skipjack not able to connect up against the wall. That Genji still going to survive. And yes, Crew is going to get one there as well. Fighting over the payload mostly here is Mint and Yoro get some, and there's another res coming out.
Man, King's Row. How important are these mercies? So far on the offense, like your whole team dies, you bring him back, and then it happens to the defensive team, they manage to bring it back as well. And it looks like this could be over for him. Shades trying to contest the payload. Not sure if anything's going to happen. Does get a kill onto Skipjack.
They could get the checkpoint here, but
I think it's a little bit too slow and a little bit too late to get a push.
Even if they get a checkpoint, they won't have time to finish the map.
So what really went right or wrong for you there, Ruster, for both of the teams?
I think what you could say is that Crew played a really good Zarya, to be honest. Like he had like ult 2 times there in the middle, only in the middle stage alone, and that's considering that Zarya's ultimate doesn't charge really quick. So he had 2 ultimates and 2 Graviton surges that won them the team fight. They simply played it better than reacted onto what Northern Blue was doing.
See the Earthshatter attempted there as well, but Skipjack wasn't able to be successful in it because it was blocked out by Nutty B, and the attacking side actually getting a pretty darn good bit of progress here. But yeah, they've got, 6 seconds left to go, so they're pretty much going to lock it in right now, and I think they are going to fall tantalizingly short here. There should be one more stall wave coming out, and they've just missed out. That would have been it. They just had to get there, and now Skipjack tries to come onto the point. He's actually being stopped, and he gets there eventually as well. So even if Northern Gaming Blue hadn't been slowed up there earlier on, they still wouldn't quite have made the time, just falling short.
Imagine if they got the checkpoint the first time they were close and they were actually able to spawn closer. They might have been able to take this momentum and move on and win. So at least we do know from both these teams playing their first map, at least on King's Row, we're going for a very close game, which is kind of what we expected in terms of caliber from both these teams. You know, I would say they're a little bit lower in terms of the 2 teams in the winner bracket finals that we've seen today, Rogue Esports and also Creation. But they're definitely fighting to challenge them again, whoever drops down. And this will be a win for Graviton Surge, putting up 1-0. And this is the res that gets 4 people that die in the middle. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe it was the res. I wasn't really paying attention.
It happened at the start of the clip.
I can only assume it was. Only